Hi, this is Chris with EMS, and today we're going to be looking at how to reverse engineer from scan data in VXModel. First thing I do here is I create a surface plane from picked surfaces. It automatically finds similar surfaces to extrude from. Do the same thing on the bottom here, just click on multiple faces, and it best fits a plane to my scan surface. Next, I'm going to create a cross section, and I'm going to use my plane that I just created as a base plane, and then I'm going to extrude it down about 10 millimeters. So now that plane cuts right through my scan data, and it gives me an outline. From here, I can select both of those planes and my cross section, and I can send it right over to SolidWorks. So you can see it opens up my outline, and we also have my two planes. I'm going to edit the sketch, and I'm going to convert the spline that it made into reference data. So now I can fit my rectangle right on top of it. Bring this one in. Here we go. And we'll do the bottom one as well. Looks good. I'm going to zoom in and make sure that this is sitting right on top to make it as accurate as possible. Here we go. Looks good. Okay, so now I've got my base sketch. I don't even have to delete my outline because it's just going to ignore that data. And now I'm going to select this profile, and I'm going to tell it to extrude up to that plane, and then the other plane go in the other direction. There we go. So now we have our basic profile, our basic body. So now I'm going to start working on this, the cut in the center. So I'm going to add a couple more planes. And this is a little bit rougher, so I'm going to relax my tolerances. There we go. And I'm going to roll over, and I'm going to do this underside plane as well. Perfect. And just like before, I am going to create a cross section using that plane that I just created. Here we go. Now we're going to offset that by 20. Let it process. So now that cuts about halfway down. We'll hit create. There we go. Now we've got a nice cross section. And just like before, I'm going to send these to SolidWorks. Perfect. Now, just like I did before, I'm going to convert those into construction geometries. And now I can put another rectangle right over the surface here. And I move my rectangle into position. Deselect those other faces. Move this right in. Zoom in to make sure that it's right on that line. Oop. There we go. Same thing with the bottom line. Perfect. So now I'm going to create another rectangle on the outside of it, because this is going to be my cutting sketch. So before, we'll save that rectangle. I'm going to make these two edges collinear. Just that one and that one. So now they share the same line, and I'll use my power trim tool to clean these up. So now I've got my cutting sketch. Okay, get out of sketch mode, and we'll go to extruded cut. Select this profile, and then I'm going to cut up to those two planes that I had just created. plane 1, direction 2, plane 2. There we go. So there's my main body. Now back in VX Elements, in VXModel, we're going to work on this cylindrical face. So I'm going to extrude the plane out here, create that, and I'm going to do, just like before, I'm going to create a profile. I could actually select the faces of the cylindrical feature itself, and have VXModel automatically extrude that cylinder. That is an option as well. But personally, I like the control of having the original sketch inside of SolidWorks instead of just exporting the feature. So bring it over there. So there's our starting plane and our sketch. And just like before, I'm going to bring this up here. I can select the sketch, make it for construction, and I can sketch a circle right on top of that one. I could have used that line as it was, but as you can see, it's a polyline and it's got some imperfections. It's not a perfect circle, and it's got that cutout, which I don't want all the way through. I'm going to be making that separately. So I pick 3 points on here. That looks really good. Here we go. We'll get out of the sketch. And now we're going to extrude this profile up to that plane. And then the other way, we're going to extrude it up to the body. There we go. All right, looking pretty good. Okay, so now I'm going to switch back over to VXModel and VX Elements. And we are going to be pulling out these hole locations over here. So just like before, I'm going to go into my cross section. I'm going to select that first plane that I made. And we're going to offset that. That's probably a little too much. Bring that back in. I'm going to go down. So we can see the surface, the cross section circles coming out pretty good. Yeah, that looks good. I'm going to flip around to the other side. And I'm going to do the exact same thing. Those locations look like they're in the same place, but obviously the radius is different. There we go. Okay, select those two cross sections, and just like before, I'm going to transfer to SolidWorks. And again, we do have tools to pick the circles out from natively inside of VXModel. I just basically select 3 points and constrain it to a plane. But I like having full control within SolidWorks and having something to measure back to just in case. Okay. So using the circle tool, I create these circles. Just by picking 3 points. I like using the curve end points there in black because it allows me to snap right onto them. Okay, pick 1, 2, and the third one all the way through here. Looks good. And one last one on this side. Perfect. All right, so we're going to flip around to the other side. And oh, looks like I got an error in this. Looks like one of those polylines may have gotten over-constrained. Let's see. Yep, that's exactly what happened. So that half a circle in red there just got over constrained. No big deal. I'll convert it to construction, select on that, and hit delete. Yep, that fixed it. Only need half of it anyway. So I can use my circle tool, just like I did before. Point. Now, obviously, because we are modeling inside of SolidWorks, I can set a constraint to make all of these circles equal radius, and I can have construction geometry, a construction line, to make sure that they're all aligned to each other. But for today, we're just going to leave them as is. Point there, looks good. And last one. Perfect. Okay. That fits nicely. I can get out of this sketch. And again, just like before, I can select these profiles. Oh, I want all of them, not just the one. There we go. Pull it all the way through. Pull out the other side. Great. And I'll do the same thing with the smaller holes. Here we go. And on the other side. Good. Looks good. All right, we'll switch back to VX Elements. And I can zoom in and I can see right there, there's a slot feature right there that I want to pull out. So I'm going to use my same cross-section tool. Pick my base plane. And pull out this diameter here. Yep, looks good. Send that to SolidWorks. There it is. Okay, so I can zoom in. Just like before, we're going to edit that sketch. Select all. Convert that into construction geometry. And I'm going to use the slot tool inside of SolidWorks. This can be a little tricky to use sometimes. Here we go. I'll zoom in and just fine tune a little bit. If you don't get that center line just right. Here we go. Looks good. So now I need the bottom of that slot to reference. So I'll extract a plane. Okay, I'm going to send that plane over to SolidWorks, just like I did before. Here we go. And I'm going to make an extruded cut. Whoop. Select that profile. Up to the plane I just imported. And make sure that the other side goes out the other direction. Hit check. There we go. Now I got one more feature here on the other side. Exact same process. Okay, there's our profile. Get the bottom of that one as well. Send both of those over to SolidWorks. And from here, it's the exact same process. Oh, that also got over constrained. I could just remove the constraints, but I actually don't need all this information. I could easily fix that, but unnecessary to do so. So, okay, so here's our profile. And just like I did on the front side, make that construction geometry. Here we go. There's our profile. I'm going to do this one a little bit differently. I'm going to start with, I'll start with a rectangle and just delete one end. Okay. Line it up here. Delete that constraint. I don't want that tied there. Drag this all the way back. All the way back. And then up here, you can move this up here. Use that to delete just that edge. And now I can add a 3-point arc. Match in. Perfect. Just like before, I'm going to do my extrude to the base plane. Direction 2 is going to be just out there. And awesome. All right. We have just a few more features to do on the end here. So I'll switch back over to VXModel. So it looks like I have a chamfer at the end. Oh, looks like my screen recorder glitched out a little bit and didn't record for a minute or so. But basically what I did is I pulled a profile out of the middle and I created a chamfer to match it. And then in the center, I created a circle, and now I'm creating a cut to draft it. There we go. And that's the process of reverse engineering with inside of VXModel. I hope you found this useful. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Again, my name is Chris Rydeen with EMS. Thank you very much for joining me.